Good morning, everyone. We will start today's proceeding with a quick karakia. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, ke mākina kina ki uta, ke mā taratara ki tai, e hi aki ana ki atakura, he teo, he hoka, he hauhu, ti hei mauri ora. Please be seated. Thank you for all being here for this second June council meeting. This is a regular council meeting for the month, and it's the last day of the month to make sure that we can get the annual plan in on time. Welcome to councillors, media, members of the public, staff. Thank you all for being here today on this sunny, gore day. Apologies, we have Councillor Mackenzie still on his leave of absence, and an apology from Councillor Smith. Any other apologies? Could I please have a mover that we accept those apologies? Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Phillips. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against, that is carried. Thank you, councillors. No public forum today. Conflicts of interest? I'll kick us off. I'll declare a conflict of interest for 8.1, which is the Code of Conduct. And for those of you wondering who will be chairing the meeting, that will be Deputy Mayor Stringer. Any other conflicts of interest? Councillor Gardine?
Probably the same as you, conflict in 8.1.
Thank you. Could I just have quiet at the back, please? Can I get the door shut? Sorry, people at the back. It was probably actually the people beside me. Thank you, Robina. It's muchly appreciated. Any more conflicts? Appear to be none. Those conflicts are noted. We will move on to 6.1, which is the unconfirmed minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting on the 16th of June, and I see, or did see, that side. We have the Independent Chair of Audit and Risk, Giselle, here to speak to the minutes. Over to you, Giselle.
Good morning, Your Worship, and everyone in the meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you. So we've got the minutes in front of Council. They're for noting, not for approving, because they get approved at the next Risk and Assurance Committee meeting. I want to just say the meeting we had a couple of weeks ago was mainly focused on the assurance part of our role. So we weren't doing as much work on risk, and we had most of the meeting in public and a couple of items in public excluded. So I just thought I'd very quickly touch on the public items. They were two policies which are in front of Council today for approval. They're very straightforward. I don't think there's any commentary needed on those. Then we looked at the audit plan. So reminding everybody that the audit is of the financials, looking back over the last year, which ends today, and also of the compliance side of did Council deliver on its annual plan? Is it in line with the long-term plan, and so on? So it's a really broad-ranging audit, which I think will add a lot of value actually to the transparency of Council's operation. And so when we get that report later in the year, it'll be really interesting to go through that as a committee. I did want to mention that the auditor was very clear that even though they had a cost overrun last year, that was not passed on to Council in any way. They stuck to their agreed fee. So I think that's important to note. And the plan looks very achievable as long as everybody on the management side is able to focus on the work that's needed to get all that information to the audit. So it's a really big piece of work that is going to keep the team busy in the next 3 months. After that, we had some good news, which was the independent rating agency Fitch, who have confirmed that Council has maintained its AA- credit rating. We didn't actually know what the outcome was until the meeting, so it was a really good piece of news. And there's no concerns being raised by that at all. Then we received a bunch of information for noting that they weren't discussed. There were no concerns or anything to be discussed. But I would just mention that those reports, of course, are all transparently available if anybody wants to read them. I don't want to mention anything about the detail of what was discussed in the confidential area, but I did want to just point out to two things. One of the confidential items is confidential because it has to be. It's not a council decision on whether it is confidential, but the councillors, other members of the committee did urge the people who provided the report to make it as public as possible as soon as possible. So there wasn't a tone of wanting to suppress the information, quite the reverse. And that will play out. That's a national issue. It's not something that's relevant to Gore. And secondly, just in confidential, a topic that was discussed but is now before council today, which is the compliance aspects of the annual plan. And that was referred to council for decision, but the committee was satisfied that it is compliant. So I think that's all I really can say on that part of the meeting. And I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
Thank you, Giselle. Any questions from councillors? Councillor Coates.
Thank you, through your worship. Good morning, Giselle.
Good morning, Nikki.
Just a quick question. If you could clarify, please. We, as councillors, receive a lot of other minutes that we confirm and put through. A lot of them, likes of the Waste Advisory Group and the likes, where there's commentary provided against those minutes. I just wonder if it's something that the committee could consider in the future, if there was more detailed minutes taken that could come back to us, because for members of the public that don't bother watching online, or other councillors that don't come to the meetings or don't see, like, there's resolutions and they're moved in the second and we see what the recommendations are, but there's no contents to that, especially in public excluded as well. Like, I understand that public don't get to see the public excluded minutes and the commentary, but for councillors that don't sit on that board, it would be quite handy. So I think could potentially that be something you look into in the future? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a good suggestion that we'll certainly take on board. I do recognise that in local government, it's always a balance between the fact that the meetings are completely open and in public, and actually minutes are far less revealing than watching the meeting itself. So there's a delicate balance there, but I'm really happy to continue the conversation about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I just get some more clarification of what you're wanting in terms of minutes? Because there are notes under the minutes for risk and assurance. And if people need more detail, they can go into the video. So I'm a little bit confused at what exactly you're requesting. Are you wanting word for word verbatim transcript, or because there are, I mean, there's descriptions of what went on in the minutes.
Yeah, well, if you look at the public excluded, councillors don't get the opportunity to see the agenda until the day of the meeting. I just think for transparency purposes, we are public representatives. We should be able to have a full rundown. There's AI capabilities available for minute taking and stuff. I just think the minutes should be more detailed.
Okay, so you have no problem with the public minutes. You're talking about the in confidence minutes. Okay, so we can talk about that in committee. Thank you.
Yeah, and can I just make a distinction? Sorry, Your Worship, but just make a distinction that AI tools are not yet generating minutes. They do a reasonable job of generating a transcript, but we don't need that. So, yeah, I think we just don't be assuming that AI can solve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Any further commentary? I will look for a move that we receive and note the minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee. Thank you, Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Gardine. Any further commentary? I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. On to the unconfirmed minutes of the council meeting from the 19th of May. Any commentary? Could I please have a mover that we confirm the minutes of the May meeting? Councillor Bruce, seconded by Councillor Fraser. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you. 6.3 is the confirmed waste advisory group minutes. Councillor Phillips, did you want to comment on these at all?
Thank you, Worship. No, I'll just take them as read. Any questions from councillors, I'm more than happy to, or the staff, I'm more than happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Any comments? Appear to be none. Could I please have a move that we receive and note those? Councillor Coates, seconded by Councillor Phillips. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. 6.4 of the 6.4, which is the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting. Any commentary on these? Councillor Coates.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just in the resolution 265, at the option D, it says that there's 4 initial options and then they list 5, so there's a typo there.
Thank you. I was looking for that. That's noted. Because we have a move that we accept those, confirm those minutes with that slight change. Moved by Councillor Coates, second by Councillor McDonnell. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to 7.1, the resolution to receive all reports for information. Sorry, I skipped over confirmation of the agenda. We're all happy with the order of the agenda? Now that we're a good chunk of the way through it. Cool. So I did have a request to pull out the update on government reforms. Is that still wanted? Are you sure? Councillor Fraser?
Just some commentary that come around about the conversation with the bill just in the last few days that maybe pull that, because I do believe we might need to do a submission.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, councillors. We will pull out the updates for government reforms. Anything else in there? We're all happy to receive all of those together. Councillor Coates?
Can I just ask a question? I did send a prior email to this meeting just hoping that the Mirror report would get updated. Has that been updated before we receive it? Because it's not correct.
I saw those changes. We'll make those made to the final document. Councillor Fraser?
Thank you, Worship. And also the report that I replied for my portfolio, because it was quite a bit of sensitive information and it wasn't put into the Mirror report.
What we might do, just because their Mirror report is a bit rushed, we might just table that one and then it can come through. So it's already there so people can see it, but we'll just table it. We'll have those slight changes made and then we can approve it as part of the next reports for information. Sound like a good plan? Cool. Thank you. So we are tabling the Mirror report and we are pulling out the update on government reforms. Everything else we'll handle together. Could I please have a move that we receive and note the Southern Regional Heritage Committee winding up, update on the Middle Wasinta Project, Regional Climate Change Working Group and the financial report 30 April. Moved by Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor Paul McPhail. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. On to the updates for government reforms, which is 7.4, page 107 in your agendas. Dave, did you want to come up for this one? Take the report as read. Did Councillor Bruce or Councillor Fraser want to kick off? I think it was around the conservation bill.
So I just want to ask, has staff undertaken any assessment on whether the Conservation Amendment Bill could affect recreation, tourism, environmental projects, public access or conservation land management in Eastern Southland? And also, what are the key issues that would justify a Gore District Council submission?
The short answer to that is no. Staff have not undertaken any assessment on the effects of this bill. If a submission is made, it's a decision of councillors. So if you would like to give me direction to make a submission, then I will draft one up for approval and get it approved in the next 2 days, noting submissions close on the 2nd of July.
Thank you, Worship. David, I just saw there's some commentary coming out of the Minister's office about some inaccuracies around what has actually been presented. I didn't actually follow up. Can you just update us on what that was?
Yeah, there's been a lot of interest in the media on this piece of legislation, and there has been some, I guess, misinformation that 60% of the dock lands are up for sale, which is not exactly what the Minister has proposed. He has, though, then made some changes in the last few days and pulled out some of the more contentious items. But to Councillor Bruce's point, there could well be impacts for tourism and land management and all sorts of things. So that there are certainly still a number of concerns that other parties and members in the media certainly have around this bill.
So I did see a lot of media activity, but I think that they have that the Minister Pausaka has put in an amendment to the bill to have the controversial parts taken out around the potential sale of conservation land.
So on that note, and particularly what Councillor Bruce says, maybe some sort of submission needs to come in from us just to more, in fact, to protect ourselves from changes that may occur.
What exactly do you want to submit on?
So if I may, I'll just read the summary of the bill from the legislation website. The bill broadly proposes to change the Conservation Act to enable more economic development on conservation land. It aims to streamline planning framework on conservation land, modernise the concession application process to make it easier for cafes and other things to be run on conservation land, loosen existing constraints on exchange and disposal of Crown-owned land, so that is still on the government website at the moment, and potentially enable an international visitor levy for some conservation land areas. If there are any areas that you want us to propose a submission on, then we can draft something up. At this stage, I'm not aware that Environment Southland, for example, are submitting. I'm not aware if Southland District are submitting, but we can certainly talk to our neighbours and see if anyone else is planning a submission.
As there's only two councillors who have done a bit of work in this area, did you maybe just want to email through to David if there is any strong views and take it away from the table rather than yeah, cool, sounds good. I just actually had a question while we've got this report out. The Local Government Legislation Amendment Bill, which is the bill to give policy decisions around rates capping, says it's in the third quarter of 2026, though may change with the Head Start process. What's that comment about? What's meant by the may change with the Head Start process?
So there has been some speculation that the rates capping piece of legislation that doesn't exist yet may be delayed as the government focuses on the Head Start stuff. They may not progress the rate capping things they've talked about as quickly as they initially intended.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion on this report? Councillor Bruce?
Did we know about this in the last meeting? Like it's just quite late now to make a submission as well.
Yeah, the short answer is no. We didn't know that this was coming. The nature of there being an election year, there'll be a lot of legislation that kind of comes out of nowhere. The items that we believe are coming are listed on the report in green. They're the ones we think are still coming, but there may well be more that come out of nowhere. It's an election year.
A good example is the rates capping bill, which has obviously been widely announced but isn't actually in the House yet. So there's what's been announced versus what's actually in the House. Any further questions? I'll look for a move that this report be received. Thank you, Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor Bruce. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Dave. On to 8.1, and I will hand over to Councillor Stringer. Did you want to come on up?
Rightio, hear me okay? Right, 8.1, investigation into, thank you, code of conduct complaint. Councillor Bruce, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Just be aware you're also understanding orders as well during this, okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Mayor, councillors and residents of our district. This code of conduct process has been lengthy, difficult, and I'm disappointed that this matter has reached this point after weeks of investigation, interviews, legal costs, staff time, councillor time, and significant personal stress. I've participated in this process in good faith, answered every question, and respected the investigation throughout. The investigators' findings are clear. This matter was found to be not bullying, not harassment, not discrimination, not significant, and not serious. Those are not my words, they are the investigators' findings. Throughout this process, my position has remained the same. I've never denied making the comment. I simply said that I do not recall making the comment. I value respectful and constructive working relationships with my colleagues and council staff, and I apologise if this has impacted on staff in a negative way. If any member of staff has been affected by this situation, I'm happy to speak with them directly and respectfully to help move things forward. I'd like to address section 29. At the same time as this matter, a separate code of conduct complaint about my communications with staff was independently investigated and dismissed, with the investigator finding my communications were polite, professional, and within my role as a councillor. I'd like it to be noted that section 29 could be interpreted as suggesting a pattern of behaviour. However, an independent investigation was found there was none. This process has had a significant personal impact on me. It has caused stress, anxiety, and sleepless nights. While I accept the code of conduct complaints have an important place, I struggle to see how the time, cost, and public attention devoted to this matter are proportionate to the findings that it was neither significant nor serious. As an outcome of this process, I'd like to suggest that we look at to become early adopters of the new LGNZ standardised code of conduct that is set to come into play in a few months, so that in the future we have the processes in place so that minor issues like this can be dealt with in-house before escalation. I now ask the Council to accept the investigators' findings in their entirety, bring this matter to a close, and allow all of us to return our focus to the work of the people of Gore elected us to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Right, I'll now open the floor to questions from other councillors. Councillor Cupid.
Thank you. I would like to ask how much we've spent so far with Anderson Lloyd lawyers on code of conduct complaints this year.
Through you, Mr Chair, we haven't received the invoices as yet. We're only coming through to the end of the month now, and so we have not received any invoices yet, so I cannot comment on that.
Councillor Coates.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you, Donna, for your statement. It takes a very brave person to stand up to a room publicly and do an apology like that to staff, and I appreciate you commenting on that. Also, following on from Councillor Cupid's question, can I request that that report of invoices be brought to Council in a future meeting, please?
I concur with Councillor Coates' comments on this, and to move things along quickly, if no one else wants to say anything else, I think we go to recommendation. I'll move recommendations A and B in the Code of Conduct complaint at this stage.
Thank you, Councillor McDonnell. Anyone else like to second that? Councillor Coates. So moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Coates for recommendations A and B. Any debate on that? Now put it to the vote. All in favour? All opposed? Anyone opposed? Right, recommendation C. Discuss and determine an appropriate consequence for Councillor Bruce. So what we'll do is, if we can have someone to move it and second it, and then we'll open it up for debate, please. Moved by Councillor McPhail. Anyone want to second it?
Sorry, Mr Chair, I can hear things playing behind me. Someone's either recording this or playing it live.
Can we just have whoever's playing a phone in the gallery to silence that device, please? Thank you. Right, can we resume? You're seconding that, Councillor Fraser. Right, so we'll now put that to the vote. All in favour? Debate, sorry, debate. Councillor McPhail.
Through the chair, I think we've had an apology, and it takes a lot of guts to do that, and I think we've just got to move on. Just, it's about basically what I say, move on. Accept that. Thank you very much.
Councillor Cupid.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to say, like the other two code of conducts we've had in recent times, I believe this one's also been a storm in a teacup. I know it's caused a lot of stress, wasted time, energy, money, and distracted from the far more important work we should be focused on. It's a shame Councillor Mackenzie's absent today. We don't hear his thoughts, but I do know Councillor Bruce is 100% keen to move on positively from this. My thoughts are that it should never have been a code of conduct issue. It should have been a discussion between adults at the time it allegedly happened. I think we should reject the lawyer's reports, consider the matter closed without needing any further action.
Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I'm in the same lines as Councillor Cupid on this line here, and I appreciate Councillor Bruce in her apology. She's forwarded an apology. The code of conduct itself is a bit of a nightmare trying to negotiate to try and do things, and I look forward to discussions, as Councillor Bruce had pointed out, about the way forward in code of conducts, and is there a better method that we can get around it And the better method, I believe, is for us to get around the table as adults and sort it out before it has to go to this way and cause cost to a ratepayer.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. Councillor McDonnell.
I concur with both Councillors Phillips and Cupid on this matter, so let's just move it on.
Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I concur with people that the apology is hard to give and well taken, and I thank Donna for that. The code of conduct for people that were involved in it and standing up for myself, it was to us the only way around that we could do this. And not only once it was leaked, the 6 were personally attacked and by members of the public and online, and we've remained stoic in what we believe. We can move on. Yes, we probably need to get around the table, but we also need to listen when we're around that table. Thank you.
Any further questions or debate? Okay, so just from what I'm gathering around the table here, the mood is to accept the apology and move on. Are we happy with that? Okay, so we're happy to put that as the resolution for option C. Okay. Sorry. You're happy to move that, Councillor McPhail? Councillor Cupid to second that? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. Sorry, Councillor Phillips.
Mr Chair, we've already got a motion. You put that motion forward. If it loses, then carry on with the new one. Thanks.
Yep, so we'll put the motion forward. Are you happy to put that? Okay, and Councillor Cupid, you're happy with that? Councillor Phillips?
I might be wrong here, Chair, but put the motion forward. If it loses, then we'll start with a new one. Is that correct?
I'm happy to move that amendment.
Happy to move amendment. Cupid to second it. Is that? Right, so we're all happy with this now. Councillor Phillips.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the way you should do it is the motion has been put on. You ask for a move and a seconder. All those in favour. If there is no one passes the motion, then you start another one. Zach. Or we can do an amendment. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, so we're putting the amendment. We'll go for that. So all in favour of the amended resolution? Anyone opposed? That passes. Thank you. Now, yeah, we'll put the motion now, sorry. Right. Pardon? Yeah, all those in favour? All those opposed? Passes. May the people that are sitting please return to their seats.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stringer, for running that part of the meeting and for councillors for helping him out. And sorry for the noise in the public forum there. Itchy feet trying to watch someone else do your job. We are on to, it must be 8.2, which is the adoption of the 2026-27 annual plan. Debbie, did you want to speak to this?
So I thought I'd just remind you of the journey that we've undertaken on this annual plan. So you may recall that in February we workshopped some of the additional costs threading through our operational budgets because of a range of revaluations across a range of different parts of our assets. So those additional costs are threaded throughout the operational budgets. If you remember, we workshopped that we actually needed slightly more than what was in the LTP to cover those costs. And so we had to work out what we were going to do in terms of how we were going to manage those increases to depreciation, which are across the board. We then had a meeting in March where you resolved for staff to go away and prepare budgets based on an 11% rate increase, and that's what we have done. So we needed slightly more than 12%. We've landed at 11%, which means that we've had to make some adjustments to depreciation and also cut back some of our operational maintenance budgets in order to make that happen. So this rate rise is primarily about the organisation moving back towards a balanced budget. So there haven't been any increases in operating budgets aside from the increases in depreciation. The increases that are in front of the community today are really to move us from using debt less than what we have done in the current year. So we're making our way back to a balanced budget, which we have highlighted we needed to do in our financial strategy and in our long-term plan. But otherwise, I'll take the report as read. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions from the floor? Councillor Cubitt.
I'll start with one just for my learning. UAGC, how has that worked out? Is it a dollar figure or is it a percentage?
Through you, Your Worship, UAGC is a fixed charge on all properties, so all properties, separately inhabitable properties, are charged the UAGC. Through previous councils, they have agreed what goes into that UAGC, and as you'll be aware through the workshops that we've been currently undertaking on our revenue and financing policy review, that is under review now. So the next stage in that, we'll be talking about what should be a fixed charge for all properties and what should be a general charge or a targeted rate. So it's based on our revenue and financing policy, and the information, more detail on that, is in our revenue and financing policy and in our long-term plan.
Thank you, Lorne. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bruce.
Hope I've got the right section for talking about this. So we're talking about a rates average of around 10.83 something. What are the highest increases some ratepayers will actually receive, and how many properties are facing increases above 20%?
Through you, Your Worship, we've got over 6,000 properties. We don't look at them on an individual basis, and I don't have that information to hand. There will be variances, and a lot of the big movements this year will be based on the revaluation that was undertaken by QV on the district-wide valuation. So we've had a lot of movement in properties, particularly in the dairy have increased significantly, pasture and sheep have decreased, and internally in the urban areas, the commercial has been quite mixed. So some commercial properties have gone up significantly and others have gone down. So the balance is going to be, some of the individual rate increases will be hard to compare to another without knowing what the revaluation of those properties were.
Thank you, Lorne. Councillor McDonald.
Lorne, can you explain the major increase in the roading depreciation, particularly for the people in the gallery? How we've got another 1.8 million to bring into roading, please?
Through you, Your Worship, as we've mentioned in previous council meetings when we've presented our financial reports, we've been showing a deficit or an unfavourable variance in roading and depreciation for the last 10 months. This is purely related to the revaluation that was undertaken for the year ended 30th of June 2025. Now that revaluation looked at the base core, and without going into all the technical detail, it resulted in the cost of replacing those roads being significantly higher and therefore impacting on the value in our asset register. Depreciation is based on our replacement cost, and that is what's caused the increase in roading.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gardine.
Just looking at the regulatory budget, there's a huge jump in the depreciation or probably in that sector, and probably the bulk of it going out to the rural area at 56% because of the way it's set up. Just can you explain what the big increase there is?
Through Your Worship, the big increase in regulatory is not related to depreciation. It is related to the district plan. Councillors have an appetite had given us direction to pay back the district plan over 10 to 15 years. This is now the first year, 26-27 will be the first year we start paying back that debt over that time. So that is where a lot of the increase is coming in that space.
So can I just ask a follow-up question? Is it 10 or 15 years?
We currently have it at 15 years.
Thank you. Councillor Cupid.
Just following on from Councillor Bruce's question about the average rate increase, so there'll be some unders and overs. Is the rates, or when will that rates calculator be live so people can actually check?
Through Your Worship, it would take a couple of days from the time of resolution. We wanted to wait till we had the annual plan adopted before we put it up there. There is no point putting something up there if it is not going to be accurate.
Councillor Coates.
Thank you, through Your Worship. Just on page 189 of the annual plan, just for clarification, it might be a question for properties. Wondering about the comment about during the 2026-27, the Matera Community Centre is scheduled to be remodelled. Is that in reference to the elderly citizens side of it, or is there something bigger happening in the community centre?
In answer to Councillor Coates, there's nothing planned for the community hall. That it is the Matera Elderly Citizen Centre, which is part of the community centre.
Any other questions from councillors? Councillor Gardine.
Just going back to my first question on regulatory cost, if the district plan is about 6 or 7 million over a span of 15 years, it should be less than 500,000. There's an increase there of about 2 million.
Through you, Worship, the numbers that I am looking at says the total operating funding or the expenditure required is 4.5 million compared to a LTP figure of 4.4. So I am unsure where Councillor is getting his figures from.
We'll let Councillor Gardine find the page, but I'll keep circling around to questions. If there are any. $304, did you say?
It was actually a comment we had in an email from Councillor McDonald that the 2023 to this year has been an increase of about 2 million.
No, through you, Your Worship, I think the councillor is mistaken. What you're comparing isn't what we've got in front of us today, and what you're talking about is that previously everything has been debt funded. So back then, what you need to be looking at is actually looking at page 36 of the annual plan itself, which is the FIS statement. If we look at the LTP for 2027, we've got $4.4 million worth of expenditure, and for the annual plan, we've got $4.5 million worth of expenditure. The movement there is not significant. If you look down to the debt repayment, we are proposing to repay $322,000 worth of debt in relation to the district plan. So the figures that, comparing to a 23-24 figure, is not in front of us today, and we should not be discussing it.
Thank you, Lorraine. Any other questions? Councillor Gardine?
Just noticing the rural fund is set at 588,000. It's still the same as last year. And does the interest, is it a cash reserve, or is it interest added to it each year as in the past, or not?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, there is interest added to it every year. We hold off until we've received the interest payments. The amount is normally small, so we don't budget for it in the statement of reserves, but it does get applied.
Thank you. Councillor Stringer?
Thank you. Through the Chair. This is a bit of a left field question. You've obviously worked in this field for years. Do you see a different way of rating that can be more fairly applied to ratepayers, or something that is not being done within the industry at the moment that we should be advocating to bring in to make it more fair and, well, not so much fair, but easier? You've got 6,000 units that you're rating individually or differently in some aspects to speed the process up and make it easier.
Not gonna answer those questions, Councillor Stringer. For the interest of the public, though, we are doing a rating review as part of regular processes, so that will be a topic for conversation then. Any other questions? Appear to be none. Are we all happy dealing with the recommendations together? Appears so. Could I please have a mover that we receive and note the adoption of the annual plan, adopt the Gore District Council annual plan, and then the two recommendations underneath it as well. Not going to read through those paragraphs. Could we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, seconded by Councillor Fraser. Thank you. Open for debate. Councillor Gardine?
With the annual plan, we've probably seen very little of the detail till the last minute, which is the Audit and Risk Committee meeting. It's when we've actually seen the plan. And we've probably had very little time between then and now as a meeting, and this is the final day of the month that's got to be adopted. Is that good planning? And I feel it's probably not. It's councillors, this is one of the most important documents that come to us that we actually have control to say yes or no to, and we only have probably a fortnight to really see the detail and comment and get answers. And it's probably less than that because the agenda didn't come out till Thursday, and the public haven't seen that till then, and we felt in the Audit and Risk that we should have had that out to publicly way before now. To get comment and feedback from the public on their thoughts. I think this is reasonably, has it been engineered or has it just been put to us this way? I'd like to see a more progressive system where back in February we did discuss it, but we didn't have the full detail and we probably couldn't get much information to base our rate increase. But we should have that detail back in February, March, to be able to debate it and ask questions and have time to make any changes. Probably the other thing is the way some of the rates are spread out. I think the district plan is going to be reasonably a big burden on the rural people as well as the roading increases in the future. So we need to look very carefully at how that's staggered. That would be my starting comments.
So just going to completely detest what you've just said there, Councillor. In February, we workshopped it in great detail, which is listed in the report. And then it was also brought to the 17 March council meeting where we discussed the different options and decided on the rate increase. In terms of consultation with the community, we don't typically consult in an annual plan year. It's actually 1% less than what we consulted in the long-term plan. I acknowledge it's a high rate increase, but it is what was consulted on within the long-term plan. We didn't consult in 2023, and we haven't consulted in many years before we arrived, or before a lot of the councils around this table arrived. So the commentary that's out there that this is the first time ever that we haven't consulted is nonsense. We discussed it within risk and assurance, which is a normal procedure, and changes were made after that, after concerns were raised, and then we have it today. And it is largely in the same format that we discussed on the 17th of March 2026. So I don't think that there hasn't been any discussion around it. We've been talking about this for the last 6 months. We're also trying to focus on the long-term plan as well. Councillor Gardine.
My comment is probably the document is the bit that really has the detail, and that hasn't been available very long at all to us.
It takes a lot of time to put this together, and when we only decided on what the rate increase should be on the 17th of March, it's a small time frame to get the document out, and there hasn't been a whole lot of questions here today about the document and its contents, as there weren't very many on risk and assurance either. And the questions that we're asked have been changed in this document in a very short space of time, so that councils are happy today to move forward with this annual plan. Councillor Paul McPhail.
Through the chair, I take umbrage with that, the fact that what you just said, because we're asking genuine questions and we don't have a lot of time, and I feel that we haven't had a lot of time. It's nobody's fault in specific because we have so much else in there, but we do need more time to get into this, I believe. So what you said about February, March and everything else is fine, but the final document comes to us and then all of a sudden we think, wow, this is here. So that's all I'm saying is we need to have a wee bit more time to look at it, to discuss it. Perhaps the community needs to know, even if we don't have to tell them. That's my belief anyway, because I just, that's what I want to say anyway. So.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Keepit.
Yeah, I would just like to agree with that too. Being a new councillor, there's obviously a lot to learn and a lot to get your head around, and we are at the last day today, so we really have no choice but to adopt it, I feel.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McDonald, are you about to get into it?
I agree with Councillor McPhail, and we need time to digest this. You know, the large increase in rates, particularly, it's skewing a bit towards rural, which is where I represent. But we've got to now. We took the rate, the depreciation back to 25% of the 1.8 million that we've got. So next year we're going to have to bundle 1.3 million into the rates somewhere, and a lot of that will come out to rural because the rural roading network's extremely extensive in this area compared with the town network, even though the cost split may be less because most of the roads in town are tar sealed and there's footpaths and stuff. But so there's quite a lot to get your head around, and to actually be able to talk to your community about it doesn't give you much chance when you get that, to actually say to your neighbours, hey, we've got a bit of an issue coming up here with the depreciation on roads and how it's going to affect your rates. So the comments from Councillor Gardine are valid.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Worship. I look at this, and yes, I agree. I would have liked more time to actually go over this last document, but that is just the way it is sometimes. But I know the amount of work that we put into the last long-term plan about getting a balanced budget, and this was the plan that we went down, and what clearly comes back is rates are an issue and debt is the other issue. So we have to work on debt. We have a plan in front of us. Yes, I struggle with depreciation and valuation because I need a crystal ball, because every time you think you got it right, you're wrong. So that's something going forward with. We think we're at this area, we should add 15 or 20% to our depreciation figure because it seems to catch us out every year. Councillor McDonnell is there, right? We've got to find that 1.37 million for next year, which is the way going ahead. It's going to be difficult. We've got rates capping. I can't see it happening this term. And then next thing, we've got amalgamation sitting all in there as well. So all the stuff that we're doing may be out the door.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Any further debate? Appears to be none. We have a mover and a seconder for the recommendations. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Smith, and welcome to the table. Thank you for joining us. On to 8.3, which is the rates resolution for 2026-27. This is more of a procedural recommendation based on the recommendation we just proceeded. Could I please have a mover for recommendations A through O? Councillor Cupid, seconded by Councillor Smith. I don't imagine there'll be any discussion. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. On to 8.4, which is the write-off of unrecoverable debt. Councillor Smith, I know that we talked about you chairing this, but as you've just shown up, I'll chair it and we can circle back to your items later on. Lorna, did you want to speak to this at all?
Through you, Your Worship. Yes, this is basically a formal procedure to request write-off of the unrecoverable debt. It is above both the Chief Executive and the CFO's delegations. We deem the debt to not be recoverable. We've got a liquidator's report to say that they have recovered everything that they can from it. So this is a kind of a formality. The auditors would be requesting us to write it off and get permission to write it off, given that it is unrecoverable.
Thank you, Lorna. Questions? Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Lorna. Just clarifying, so that's the auditor would request that that be gone. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Gardine?
How much of the debt was actually just penalties?
There was, of the debt that's unrecoverable, none. We recovered all of our rates payments that were outstanding. So this was other charges like water charges and things like that. So it wasn't, and we recovered all our rates charges.
Just on that, well done for getting the 68,000. I think that's quite good considering usually those who go into liquidation don't have much funds left. Councillor Stringer.
Through you, Chair. So has anyone else taken over that premise and it's been put to use, so we will have further rates coming in, or is it, what's the status of it?
I believe that the premise has been taken over by someone else, but it's not within my purview.
Thank you, Councillor. If there are no further questions, I'll look for a move that receive a report and approve staff to write off the bad debts. Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Any debate? I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lorna. On to 8.5, which is the Council Vision and Community Outcomes for the 27-37 long-term plan. Welcome up, Mallory. Taking as read, did you want to add anything at all? No? Questions from councillors? Councillor Bruce.
I just want to know how many respondents were there in the community consultation, since they were relying so heavily on it.
It's in the report, but 422 people engaged with the online and pop-ups surveys, and then there's obviously a few more with the school engagement surveys. I'm not sure of the exact figure, but I think there was 4 schools in total.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cupid.
Thank you. What in the report it talks about the draft vision, but we are going to adopt the updated vision. So, what is the updated vision?
So we engaged on the draft vision, which was a district where people, talent and business grows. And so it's adopting that new vision to put into the LTP.
So the draft vision is the updated vision, yeah?
It'll just be called the final. Councillor Bruce.
So, when people were consulted with, did they not talk about like the rates, the cost of rates, and the cost of living here? Like, I don't see much of that talked about. It's like, how is that not an issue to be addressed?
So this was pre-engagement, not consultation. And the pre-engagement was about the long-term vision. So we focused on the long-term vision. I talk about it in the report a wee bit more, but the community will have a chance to give their feedback on rates and operational matters during the LTP consultation, the formal consultation. So that's where the focus was for this pre-engagement. It's not actually a statutory requirement.
Councillor Coates.
Thank you. Just a question. What engagement was undertaken with Muriwai College? Just, I don't recall having any participation or hearing any feedback on that specifically.
Yeah, I might hand over to Graham for this one because he did the school engagement piece.
Yeah, sorry, just to answer the question, the school decided rather than doing what St Peter's did and inviting you along, they just answered the questions as a class exercise and returned the feedback we got.
I put a bit of a summary in the attachment appended piece about what their feedback was. Just like.
Thank you. Any other questions? Appear to be none. I will look for someone to receive and note the council vision and approve the use of the updated vision, the final vision, which is the original vision, and community outcomes for the long-term plan. Can I have a mover for those recommendations? Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Phillips. Any debates? Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's not more of a debate, but a comment in Councillor Bruce's during that part when we were consulting more out there talking with the public. There was lots of questions asked about our rates and so forth, but we had to focus on those 5 things that we were talking about. So, but I can assure you, yes, there was lots of questions.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Worship. Hey, I personally want to thank, particularly Amanda and Lorna, who were with me at MLT Stadium. It was really interesting to get a very young view that day. We filled the ball twice, I think, was right, Amanda? Yes, just with suggestions. So, but thank you to the staff for the time and effort they put into this.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. I just really want to build upon that and thank all of the staff who are involved, and more so the public as well. There was some really fantastic conversations out on the main street. Obviously, Councillor Fraser had them at the Motorsports Complex, the engagement we had at St Peter's. To get 422 odd engagements in the space of, 3 weeks is pretty incredible, and a huge effort to put in. I recognise that it is a little bit fluffy. It isn't the usual stuff that we're involved in, but it's a really good basis around how we're going to build this LTP. It's really hard to do an LTP that's just focused around only the negative stuff. We've got to have some positivity. We've got to have some hope. I think there's a comment in here about us focusing more on the long term and, people having pride in the district, sick of hearing from the same 10 people. Let's focus on the future and make Gore a people where people have opportunities and want to live. And that focus on our young people as well. Being a young mayor is really promising. There was a lot of hope in that St. Peter's classroom that we went to. Those are the people that we're all fighting for around this table. So I just really want to thank the community for getting involved and having a bit of faith in what might feel is quite a fluffy piece of the work that we do. If there are no further comments, also thank you to the report writer for the stunning infographic. It's really pretty and nice. If there's no further comment, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. On to 8.6, which is the adoption of the elected members' allowances and reimbursement of expensive policy. Have we got someone coming up? Daniel, did you want to come up? Did you have any additional commentary? Take the report as read. Thank you. I'll just open up very briefly. I just want to thank staff again. This report, when it came to risk and assurance, I was quite grumpy about, to be honest, in the format that it came. But I'm really happy with how this policy has turned out. It's been cleaned up really nicely. It seems to make sense. And quite glad that we've got an updated policy as well that's in line with a lot of other councils and where their policy is at too. So just wanted to mention that up front early. Any questions on this item? Councillor Stringer.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the work that's been done on this policy. I'm just wondering if we should look at obviously, they're looking at standing orders across the country, whether we should be looking at some of these policies as a standard policy across the country as well, and then we just have differentiations that are built up underneath that.
It kind of is. So the Remuneration Authority, their determination has all of this stuff listed in it. So while we have a policy, we're also entitled to it as well because the Remuneration Authority sets it out. This policy is more just describing how we have access to it and kind of the localised rules. So it kind of is from a national setting. The standing orders and code of conduct changes won't be. They'll be standardised. There'll be no editing them on a local level. Councillor McDonald.
I see the vehicle costs here for the mayor's vehicle is 60,000 for a petrol or diesel, or 70,000 for a hybrid. They seem rather high for me because we get the government service thing that gives us about a 20% discount on vehicle. I'll drop those 20,000 each because you should be able to get a decent vehicle for $40,000 petrol and about 50,000 for a decent hybrid. So just being my miserable self again.
Thank you for that, councillor. I'll take that. I'll try not to take that one personally. That's just what's within the determination, and I think has been increased at the local election with the price of inflation. I haven't updated my vehicle, and it was significantly less than those totals. So you can be rest assured on that one. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Worship. I just look under point 11, the policy review. Should you not actually put a timing on that? You've just put will be after the beginning of each term and the release of the Remuneration Authority's local membership determination. It doesn't say it should be, say, within 3 months or 2 months. Just it should have to me, it should have a date on it. So at least you know it has to get done by that date. That's point 11 in the policy.
It's probably a little bit tricky because I guess it depends on kind of how the election rolls and when the determination is updated. But Daniel might.
I too would love to put a date on it, but unfortunately we are beholden to the Remuneration Authority, whenever they release a new determination, as soon as we get that determination, we can update it. But we don't know. This one is, yep.
I accept that, but once you get it, we should have a date that it should be done by. So if we get it on X date, within 2 months of that, we have the policy review.
Can we, sorry, I'm going to make it even more complicated because I think that is a good point. The Remuneration Authority actually puts out determinations throughout the trainee as well. The security cameras one, I think, came out during last term. So it might be when there's a new determination that the policy is updated within 3 months. Is that fair? Yeah, okay. If we could have the policy reflect that, that would be grand. Councillor Bruce.
I'm just wondering why security systems have to be $4,500 and why they have to be monitored. I got security cameras at home and it was like $500. If you're in trouble, ring the police.
So it's in the determination as well, same as Councillor McDonald's question. That's up to $4,500 and up to $1,000. That's the national determination. It's not saying that it necessarily will be that for everybody. Any other questions? You go, Councillor Cupid.
It's probably not really a question, but maybe just should clarify around that with the security cameras that it's not just a given that you get that you need to have a security threat and a risk assessment done, etc.
Yes, yeah, good clarification. Thank you, Councillor Cupid. Just on that, do we have an estimate of what the cost of a security threat and risk assessment is? Because I see that eats into that $4,500.
Through your worship, no, we haven't scoped that yet. I've been in contact with a counterpart at Wellington. They have their own internal team, so I've been liaising with them and trying to get some additional information from them.
Thank you. Could it be circulated to councillors? Because my fear is that you do a security threat and risk assessment that comes at $4,000, and then you've only got $500 to spend on security cameras, which would kind of defeat the purpose. So that would be great. And just while we're on that as well, can councillors get a bit of guidance on what the threshold is for a security and risk assessment? As councillors may have read in the policy, if you don't meet that threshold, then it's on the councillor to pay that. So it would be good to know what that threshold is, so that you're not putting in an application or getting an assessment and then having to find out you have to pay that yourself because you don't meet the threshold. So I don't think that changes the context of the policy, but I think it would be good for us to know. Councillor Stringer?
Through you, Chair. Just as a background, as a security consultant, you'll be looking $200 to $350 for a consultation, depending on the company and where they have to come from to do it. It may actually be something that is easier for the council to train up someone internally to get their SC qualification, security consultant qualification, and then that just becomes part of the process.
Thank you, Councillor. Good info. Any other discussion on this policy? Councillor Bruce?
Not a question, but I just wanted to talk about the Merrill car. I don't think it should be so expensive either. I don't think there's any need to spend that much money on a vehicle.
Thank you. Sorry, is it question? Sorry, I should have, my fault. I said discussion, yes. Questions? Otherwise, are you happy to move the motion and then you can go into the debate? Could I please have a mover for the recommendations? So we're happy to. Councillor Bruce is the mover. Seconder. Councillor Phillips, thank you. Into debate. Councillor Bruce.
Right, also with the travel, where are we? $1.17 per kilometre for the first 14,000 kilometres. I worked that out. I'm not great at maths, but I worked that out to be $152 just to go to Invercargill and back. And I think it's just out the gate, to be honest. the security systems that we already know, I'm not happy with that. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, as mentioned, they're all within the remuneration determination, so when staff or ourselves aren't determining what those are, just like we don't determine how much we get paid either. It's what the remuneration authority determines. Whether we claim it or not is ultimately up to us, and I would say I don't know of any councillors who have claimed this term for mileage. Sorry, I didn't mean to out you, Councillor Bruce. Yeah, okay. So sometimes it's claimed, but I mean, I think genuinely it's not. But yes.
So I did claim it because I did book a car, but it didn't happen. So I shouldn't. The cost to go to a thing that I've been made part of as a councillor. Yeah, so I did try to get the car. That didn't happen. So that's my reasoning behind that. To clear that up.
Thank you, councillor. And for any other councillor who I just offended, you are entitled to claim your mileage, especially if you're going for a council event. It is part of the duties of being a councillor. And just on the mineral vehicle as well, I also do take a salary sacrifice because I have private use of the vehicle too. So, any further debate? I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And those against? That is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. Thank you, Daniel. On to the draft disposal of assets policy. Councillor Smith, you up to chairing? Go for it.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the draft procurement policy come through to Risk and Assurance for review prior to coming to council. It's been... Can you not hear? Sorry. Huh? Oh, did I skip one? Back one, sorry. Draft disposal of asset policy come to Risk and Assurance for review prior to coming to council. In principle, it was acceptable to move to you guys as a debate. So is there anything that you wanted to add to that, Mallory, before we... Cool. So we'll take it as read.
So it's essentially updating the existing land and buildings policy, just expanding it to cover all council-owned assets, and it's just formalising processes that we already have in place.
Thank you, Mallory. Do we have any questions? Councillor Bruce.
So I hope I've got this worded right. So can staff clarify whether the chief executive's $100,000 delegation applies to all assets, or whether clause 8.1 council has to approve overrides that delegation for all land and building disposals?
So all land and building disposals have to come to council. Yeah, so that overrides it. That's it.
Any further questions? No. Can I have a mover for the motion that council receives and notes the draft disposal of asset policy and adopts the disposal of asset policy? Councillor McDonnell and Councillor Stringer. Cool. Pardon? Sorry, Councillor. I'm just clarifying, we're picking options here, are we not? Do we have a mover for option 1 as the recommended? No? Great. Any debate? I'm sorry, that needs to be clarified to me because there's 3 options here. Are we adopting option 1 or the preferred option or not? I'm just confused.
The preferred option is the recommendation. So adopt the Gore District Council disposal assets policy. Recommendation B adopts the disposal assets policy. They're the same. It's just the way that the report's been written. It's not like other ones where it's pick A, B, or C. The recommended option is in the recommendation. I know it's confusing. I know it's confusing.
So on that, can we just have option 1 put into that recommendation? Yep.
I don't see that problem. So the council receives and notes the draft asset policy and adopts option 1 of the disposal of assets policy. Do I have a mover for that motion? It's the same thing.
So it would be receive and notes the draft disposal assets policy and recommends option 1, adopt the disposal of assets policy. Yes, there you go. Happy, Councillor Fraser? Fantastic. Over to you, Councillor Smith.
Do I have a mover again? Councillor McNamara now and Councillor Bruce. Any debate? I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. All against? Any against? None? Great. Thank you very much for the work that's been done on that one. There's the next one as well. So that takes us through to 8.8, the draft procurement policy. Was there anything to add to this report? I can take that as read. So I'll open that for questions. Councillor Bruce.
What problem are we trying to solve by increasing the quote thresholds? Because every time you reduce quote requirements, you're trading less administration for less market testing. Is that worth it? How many procurements between 10,000 and 50,000 were undertaken in the last 12 months, and how much staff time would that actually save?
Sorry, I know you're chairing this, Councillor Smith. Can I just get clarification on what the question is? Because there was one that first one is about debate, which is an opinion about whether it's worth it or not, which is fine, but for... Yeah, so that's debate, but you were asking around amount of tenders under 25,000?
Between 10 and 50, how many were undertaken in the last 12 months?
We don't have that detail with us. To find out how many there would have been in the last 12 months will be a significant amount of workload to do that, because we'd have to trawl back through all our invoices, all our, all possible transactions, so that
Mayor Ben, do you have a question?
Can you ballpark it? Because I think it is a fair question of, is it a lot of administrative burden of like constantly we're having to set up panels, because that would make sense, or is it I don't know, 5 a year? Jason?
I'm not going to solve the number for you, but through your worship, I guess when this procurement policy was originally drafted, again, it's allowing, I guess, for an inflation in the cost of doing the work. So what was, potentially around $10,000 probably 5 to 10 years ago is now around $25,000 now. So it's just really getting aligned with that. And we're talking, this isn't an open tender process, it's quotations, and the administration more comes down to having to go around and try and get the right sort of quotes just to meet what you're effectively then doing is ticking boxes when you have got, I guess, market demand or market or suppliers in those areas. So again, it's still a decision of council, and it is again trading off sometimes about timeliness over trying to chase around a certain quote number. But again, I think there's it's more about actually just sort of the level of work that we're trying to achieve for that price.
Councillor McPhail.
Through the chair. Thank you for that, Jason. Perhaps the commentary could be written slightly different so us around the table understand it better. I just find that what you just explained explains it. So maybe in the next report we can get the details that we need as far as it goes. I'm not explaining myself very well here as it is. Just more basic explanation, that's what I'm asking for.
Any further questions? Councillor Stringer?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Just around the approved contractor side of things, how many companies or how many firms outside the approved contractor process actually tender for us? Like, have we set the bar too high that we're limiting the number of responses we're getting?
Sorry, sorry, can you explain that again, Joe? And I'll have a crack.
Sorry, Jason. So with the approved contractor, we obviously need to ask for health and safety in any relevant codes of practice that they have to apply to abide by. When we're setting that standard of asking those companies or tradespeople to provide that information, are we setting the bar too high that we're locking ourselves out of getting tenders from other people that wouldn't otherwise tender?
Through your worship, there might be some others who want to add into this too, but I guess the short answer can be yes, but I think as a council we should be setting best practice standards for contractors and suppliers that we use to achieve good quality outcomes for our community. So, yep, there is a trade-off and a balance, and we are always trying to find that balance between, allowing good opportunities for people to quote, tender and supply work for the council versus them being able to meet some pretty sort of standard practices around health and safety, which we won't sacrifice on at all. And so those are the balance that we're constantly doing around procurement and suppliers.
Any further questions? No. So we can put the motion that the council receives and notes the draft procurement policy and B, adopts the updated procurement policy. Do I have a mover? Councillor McDonnell and seconded by Councillor Fraser. Any debate? Councillor McDonnell?
Just to give Councillor Bruce some reassurance, that would be the sort of numbers I'd be using out at the Waikaka gold mine if it ever gets off the ground for procurement. So they're very reasonable, and considering we're a $50 million business, that's the sort of numbers I would expect to see in the policy.
Thank you, Councillor McDonnell. I will reassure you as well that in audit and risk and assurance, it was also noted by Giselle that these are pretty standard across the organisations that she works in and sees from that risk space. So again, another quantitative measure there. Is there any further debate? No, so I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any for against? The motion is carried. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Now over to Councillor Gardine for 8.9, road stopping.
Yes, we have a road stopping request for the Toronto Street at the dump, and Neil's going to speak to this.
Oh, couldn't read the bloody thing. Thank you to the councillor. It appears that we're doing 8.10, which is road stopping with the transfer station first. I'll take it that the report has been read. Sorry. Okay, we're looking at 8.9, which is road stopping of paper footpath, which is off Hamilton Street. I'll take it that the report has been read. I'll answer any questions.
Councillor Bruce, good question.
I just want to check that no public access has been restricted by this.
No public access has been restricted, as the report says that originally it was going to be going from Hamilton Street through to Gordon Terrace, but the Gordon Terrace side got cut off many years ago and has been subdivided and sold as fee title. So this approximately 70 metres or so is basically just to a dead end off Hamilton Street.
Councillor Phillips.
So question then, it doesn't align with the park that's in existence there?
The paper road as it is actually butts down onto a private property now.
And just a question, by combining the two, it makes it wide enough for vehicle access, or is it the council property on the north side, is it wide enough for vehicle access plus the footpath?
With the amalgamation of that paper footpath will be a normal access way available then. It is currently being used as an access way.
Any further questions? Otherwise, would someone like to move the recommendation that we receive and notes the reported road stopping paper footpath, and 2, approves the use of the Local Government Act 1974 process to stop the paper road walkway adjoining 55 Hamilton Street. Moved by Councillor McPhail and seconded by Councillor Cubitt. Any further discussion or debate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just saying again, we've got options lined out here again, and although that it is option A, it should actually say option A.
Yes, probably should too.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering with using that act, the Local Government Act to close this paper road, are we opening ourselves up to having every farmer that has a paper road going across their property coming to us now, can you please use this act to remove the paper road? And then what the implications are from this. Like, this is a no-brainer to me, but I'm just thinking of how this can be applied, because I know we've had other people come to us before about wanting to close a paper road or take over a paper road for the purpose of farming or selling a property. I'm just thinking of the other implications this might have.
The way I understand it is if a farmer wants to do it, you've actually got to fund the whole process. So all the reports from council right through to a hearing and maybe an environment hearing. So most farmers, don't take the value of the land and tax, probably will not chase this. Does that answer the question? Yeah. Any further questions or debate? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. We put option A in there from Councillor Fraser. And all those in favour for those 2 recommendations, please say aye. Aye. Against? It's carried. Move on to the next one. 10.
Around the wrong way.
It's listed wrong on the agenda. That's why it's mucked me up. So this one, would Neil like to comment on this one for the transfer station?
This road stopping is just in regards to a section of Toronto Street which is on the east side of the closed gates, which are normally closed at the transfer station. When the transfer station was built in 2006, that section of road was not stopped. And now it has caused issues of us wanting to put a building onto the site and it juts onto the so-called road. I'll take it that it has been read and answer any questions.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward. Would someone like to move the recommendation and Councillor Neville Phillips moves it, Councillor Andy Fraser seconds it. Any debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? It's carried.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gardine. Also, just wanted to apologise to Councillor Coates. She was meant to be leading the community vision piece, and I overlooked that, so apologies to you, Councillor. We are on to 8.11 on page 309, which is the LGNZ AGM delegates and attendance to its superlocal conference. Debbie, did you want to? Oh, I can speak to it? Cool. So two parts of this. The first is the delegates for the AGM, which is the 31st of July. Usually LGNZ have their AGM at Superlocal, but this year, because of the fuel crisis, they decided to postpone the Superlocal conference, but the AGM still needs to happen on schedule. I think it does say in the paper that it will be to decide the president and vice president, but there was a special AGM and both the president and vice president have already been selected. There will be a number of remits, and I think there's a constitution change to allow young elected members in Te Marama to be able to put up remits as well, so that'll be part of the discussion. Just for context, usually the Mayor is the presiding delegate, and I'm happy to do that, but if there are councillors who want to sit in and watch the AGM, they're more than welcome. It'll be far less exciting this year because it's on Zoom, so it'll just be like any other Zoom meeting, but we can have up to 2 extra delegates there as well in the room. I will now open, just also on the Superlocal conference. So it is in Rotorua, which makes the costs of Superlocal a little bit more in terms of flights to get there. And Rotorua being a smaller location as well means that accommodation is slightly more expensive. Previous years it's been in Christchurch or Wellington, which makes it slightly cheaper. I was going to make it that it was only myself and the chief executive that went this year, but luckily because of my role with MTFJ, my trip will be paid for out of that, so there's probably space for a councillor to go as well, as there's a little bit of extra budget there. That is probably it from me. I will open the floor for questions. Councillor Bruce.
So, given the financial pressures on ratepayers and the significant rate increase this year, how have we determined that sending up to 3 elected members to Rotorua Conference represents good value for money?
We're not sending 3 delegates to 3 elected members to Superlocal. We're talking about sending 1. The chief executive always goes. I always go. I've managed to get the funding paid for from another source. That question isn't really one for staff to answer, but it can be raised again in debate. It's fair. Any other questions before we go into debate? Councillor Cupid.
Might just be how that's worded, because it does say that requests that we select 3 delegates.
So 3 delegates for the AGM. So the AGM is on Zoom, as it says in the report. So yeah, Yeah, that's okay. That's right. That is confusing. There's kind of two separate items wedged into the same report. Usually would be dealt with all together. Any other questions? What I might do actually, just on that note, is separate them. Do I have any interest for delegates for the AGM? We can have two. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Worship. And I know we're overloading these guys a wee bit, but our two councillors who are basically working with what's the word I'm looking for? Amalgamation probably would suit them if they were free.
So it's Councillor Cupid and Councillor McPhail. Both happy? Councillor Cupid?
Do you know what time of day it is?
12 o'clock. Take about an hour. Be your lunch break for the day. Councillor McPhail? Should be fine. Cool. So receive and note the report. So we'll do with A, selects from council 3 delegates, being Mayor Bell, Councillor Cupid and Councillor McPhail, to attend the LGNZ AGM online on the 31 July, including nominating the presiding delegate as myself. We're both happy with that. Thank you. And then C, request the Chief Executive advise LGNZ of its delegates. And we will note that the Superlogo conference is held in Rotorua, and we'll stop there. So could I please have a move for recommendations A through D? Councillor Smith and Councillor Fraser. Any debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. Do we have anyone? Oh, we could have done E there as well. Oh, no, sorry. Yes, do we have any interest for a councillor who would like to go to Superlocal? So, as is somewhat of an internal tradition, Councillor McPhail, Councillor Cupid and Councillor Bruce all have first dibs, so haven't gone to any LGNZ events. Otherwise, I'll open it up to everybody else. I do acknowledge it is a bit of a commitment because it is, you will be flying up on the Tuesday and won't be home till the Friday. It is 3 days worth of conference. There's a lot of events. There's a lot packed into those 3 days. No interest from councillors? Councillor Smith?
I think it's important at this point that we talk about what is the goal of Superlocal, especially for the new councillors that haven't been there. So there's the opportunity to be able to connect with ministers and government officials across the country. There's lots of different councils. I think it's probably quite a valid place for someone that is looking at the amalgamation side of things, because if any day to get council on side, Superlocal is the place to give those sorts of announcements and things. So I do want to encourage someone to consider that, because I think it's good to have there. And yes, we have 3 delegates going, like Councillor Bruce has said, but one has got a mayor hat on, one's got a CEO hat on, and one's got a councillor hat, and we all take different things from that. So I do see value in being able to come back together and determine and discuss how we took value from those conversations that had and the workshops. So I just wanted to put a bit more context into that.
That's probably quite helpful context, thank you, Councillor Smith. And as anyone would have experienced as a recent local government conferences, I'm a bit of a headless chicken at the time because I'm chairing the rural sector and also chairing Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. So while I try and do council stuff as well, it is like having a dedicated councillor does help assist me, because it's good to be able to bounce ideas off. And obviously the chief executive deals with it from a chief executive point of view and engages with her colleagues, and it's a lot more operationally focused. But it is good to have council representation too. There's lots of councillor catch-ups and time for networking so that you can learn what other councils are doing. Especially important, as Councillor Smith recognised, with amalgamation, everybody around the country is doing it different. There'll be lots of fantastic ideas out there about how they're dealing with it, reforms. We've already talked about, you know, the likes of rates capping and things. Everyone's grappling with that. It'll be good to get information. And then as well, we will be a couple of months out from the election as well, so you will get to hear firsthand from ministers what their policies are, be able to test them, be able to try and shake them loose as to how that's actually going to play out in the local government world, and try and actually influence a lot of their manifestos as well. So quite a crucial time to be involved in it. The theme is reset, refocus, and reimagine. I'm just trying to see. Here's which ministers there. Councillor McPhail.
I'm very aware of the cost. That's probably the big thing. I'd love to go, but the cost for the ratepayer is obviously a key thing. We really need to know what that is, and compared with going to Christchurch to Rotorua is going to be considerable. So just we're sort of dealing with what we don't know here, as far as that goes.
So flights are about $700 plus accommodation, about another, what, two? Yeah. There's. Let me put it this way. And I know this makes people a little bit uncomfortable. There's plenty of budget there purely because a lot of my travel this term has been paid for by Mayor's Task Force for Jobs because of the way that I've managed to work it. So don't be stressed about going over budget, and anything under budget just goes back to the overall tally. Councillor Bruce.
Just because there's room there doesn't mean you have to spend it, though.
Like I said, I know it was going to make people uncomfortable, but that's why we budget for things. But point taken, it gets raised every time.
What I would like to add is that you have to consider the opportunity that's lost if you don't attend, that it's right before an election, which means that you're going to have politicians from almost every major political party talking through their views of the future. It is also an opportunity to advocate strongly on behalf of local government to central government ministers, and that these are opportunities that you really need to take, like in terms of advocating for things like fairer funding models for local government, making sure that amalgamation conversations are rooted in the actual reality, lived realities of communities. Like, these are the opportunities that these touch points bring. You don't get other opportunities outside of this. So, yeah, I just encourage you to really consider that really carefully in your thinking.
Councillor Cupit.
Taking that on board, can I, if no one else is putting their hand up, can I consider it? And because I just need to check in with childcarers, etc.
Absolutely, yeah. You're more than welcome to switch out with, and we can email it round if that is the case, absolutely. Thank you for raising your hand. That will be another one checked off my list. I'll be looking at Councillor Bruce and Councillor McPhail in the future. Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Your Worship. More than happy to nominate Councillor Cupid for that position. But I'm just going to ask then Councillor McPhail and Bruce whether or not you, if Councillor Cupid can't make it, whether or not you are interested, and then we just put that motion if Councillor Cupid can't make it. The secondary councillor who can make it be the alternative, and then we don't have to go through the whole process again.
Comfortable with that, Councillor McPhail? See, this is why you shouldn't have risen your hand when you got to the working party, you see. Now you're getting put in for all sorts. Very good, thank you for that. So receives expressions of interest for attendance from councillors, being Councillor Cupid as the primary and Councillor McPhail as the secondary, should Councillor Cupid not be able to make it. And then noting that the cost of any community board member will be covered by the community board discretionary fund, and noting the attendance of the conference for Mayor Bell and Chief Executive Debbie Lascelles. Councillor Phillips, happy to move?
Just a question, can I ask Councillor Bruce if she was interested in going? Oh, sorry.
I don't see value for money in LGNZ, so I don't support it.
That's fine. Happy to move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. Seconded by Councillor Stringer. Thank you. Open for debate. I just want to touch on that point because I recognise that me joking around the table about getting everyone to go does sound a little bit culty. It's not because I'm trying to get everyone to, you know, sip the local government New Zealand water. It is important that if you are going to come out with statements like I don't support local government at all, that you actually understand what they're about. I'm all for, if you don't agree with local government New Zealand and you're not what they're about, I get that feeling maybe from Councillor McDonald in the past, but he's actually attended and seen what it's all about and gone, it's not my thing, is my understanding. Maybe I'm Oh, well, you're being added to my list. There you go. It's good to experience it. So then if you are against, then you can speak to it and go, I'm against it because X, Y, and Z. So that's I just wanted to put that out there. Any further discussion? Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Councillor Bruce, I totally understand because I was totally against it when I first come here because of the way it was made up. It is different in there now. I got a lot from it. Yes, I don't want to go all the way to Rotorua, the place stinks, but it is a discussion long-term plan-wise, whether we continue on, but I see positive stuff coming out of there now. I honestly think that either one of these two, because of the amalgamation stuff, it's going to get so much out of it that we'll get a well-written report back when they come back.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. If there is no further discussion or any more bashing of other cities, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. And against, the motion is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. Over to the Waste Minimisation Management Plan at 8.12. I will be handing over to Councillor Phillips to chair, but welcoming up Fiona to the top table. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Over to you, Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just before I start on the waste minimisation plan, I'd just like to remind councillors that if you have a conflict of interest, is to forward that now. But first of all, I'd like to make the presence known of the Director Fiona Walker and also the new Director sitting in the back, Paul Mooney. Welcome to the GDC. GM Jason Domingan and also Craig Sinclair, the manager. So I asked the report for presentation, please, if you've got anything that you want to add, as read.
Morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the report. This has been a joint process with the other WasteNet councils, so it has been heard respectively by those councils and forms part of the end of the process for development of the Waste Minimisation and Management Plan, which is looking to come into effect from the 1st of July in collaboration and through WasteNet. But we'll take the report as read and happy to answer any questions.
Councillors, any questions? Your Worship.
Thank you for this plan. It's very thorough and very well put together. I just had a really teeny tiny procedural matter with the comment from Minister Simmons being from the Minister for the Environment, as she is no longer the Minister for the Environment and we're adopting it today. Just maybe a former, or I don't know how you want to address that, but I'm just making sure it's correct as we're approving it today. Thank you.
Any further questions? So if not, then can I please have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Cupid, seconded by Councillor Bruce. Debates or discussions? Everyone seems pretty happy. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. So we carry on with the next one, item 8.13, which is the WasteNet Southland Joint Committee delegation. I'll pass on to the management for the report.
This report seeks to formalise the financial delegations of the WasteNet Joint Committee, which is referred to as the Waste Advisory Group, or WAG, in the report. At the moment, the delegations in there do reflect current practice, so it's more looking to formalise rather than to establish new delegations. It does form part of a wider piece of work in terms of updating the joint agreement under which the Waste Advisory Group operates. However, that's quite a wider piece of work, so the idea for formalising these is that it will then ultimately form into that wider piece of work for updating the agreement, but recognising that this is a key thing to get up to date and documented appropriately. Again, it's something that will have to go through the 3 WasteNet councils, so Southland have received this report and it's due to go to ICC later in July next month.
Is there anything else you want to add there, Craig, or you, Jason? Is there any questions for the staff? Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I just read in point 4D, the delegation to distribute Southland Reserve, WasteNet Southland Reserve up to $200,000. That's not the entire reserve, is it?
Through you, Chair, that's correct. That's not the entire reserves. At the moment, the reserves are sitting at about $2.5 million. So again, this forms part of the wider framework in terms of establishing a delegation framework to manage those reserves, but it just provides the starting point for the Waste Advisory Group to manage up to that point. Beyond that, it would come back to each individual council for decision.
Councillor Bruce, Councillor Fraser just has a further question.
Working out. Thank you, Fiona. Just how much increase of the reserves each year are we having? Because $2.5 million reserve is considerable.
It has fluctuated year on year. This year, it looks to be stagnant. There's going to be no increase because WasteNet is operating in a deficit for the year, which was forecast. So it does vary year to year.
Councillor Bruce.
So for those ones up to 200,000, does reports for for spending in that 200,000 come back to council for transparency?
Through you again, Chair. Yes, that's correct. It would come back through the Waste Advisory Group minutes, which are received by each council.
If there's no further questions for staff, do I have a mover and a seconder for this? Moved by Councillor Fraser. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Coates. Any discussions? So if there's no further discussion, then I'll take the recommendation in its entirety, 1 through to 5. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much, staff. We'll see you again very shortly in committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Phillips. We'll look to have a 5-minute break, but I will just do the recommendation to move us into public excluded. So I'll move from the chair that we move into public excluded for the request to purchase land, Waste and Advisory Group and committee minutes. There's a bunch of different minutes there. There's one that I've missed somewhere as well. Councillor Stringer as the seconder. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. And against, motion is carried. We will have a 5 to 10 minute break.